story is going to make you want to punch a screen and might make you just get a tiny little bit afraid. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Uh, Representative Thomas Massie, who I am trying to reach out to have on the show. I hope that it can happen. There's a process which I found out, which I could reach him online. So hopefully it'll all come through, and we could probably get Representative Thomas Massie as a guest on the show, because I would love to talk to him about online censorship and the dangers of censorship. But we got another danger. Representative Thomas Massie, if the Republican budget passes, the deficit gets worse, not better. Has anyone seen the price of eggs? Because I have, and I don't like it. It's not excellent. All right, put down your tomatoes. All right. It was a funny joke. And this is a tweet that came out at 5 p.m. yesterday, February 24th, 2025. Boy, my birthday month has been a crazy month, hasn't it? If the Republican budget passes, the deficit gets worse, not better. So what's going on here? What's happening here? Well, we got a lot to talk about, and it is not looking good for any one of us who are struggling to make ends meet. GOP plows ahead with budget that would slash Medicaid, food benefits for millions. Okay, so Republicans on the House Rules Committee voted late Monday to advance a budget resolution that, if translated into law, would enact painful cuts to Medicaid and to federal nutrition assistance, potentially stripping critical benefits from tens of millions of low-income Americans to help fund trillions of dollars in tax giveaways that would flow primarily to the rich. As if they don't have enough already, what can you give somebody who has the whole world? The Rules panel voted a 9-4 along party lines in favor of the budget blueprint, setting a stage for a House floor debate and vote as soon as Tuesday evening. So that's today, according to my non-invisible watch, so later on the evening. So how's your morning doing? While some House Republicans have publicly and privately voiced concerns about the scale of Medicaid cuts proposed in the budget resolution, GOP members of the Rules panel on Monday rejected Democrat amendments aimed at preventing cuts to the health care program, as well as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, and other spending. Republicans can't have it both ways. They can't claim to stand up for their constituents on SNAP and Medicaid and then reject amendments that would do just that, said Representative Gabe Amo, Democrat from Rhode Island, who sponsored the proposed changes. My common sense amendments would have supported these two key programs that feed hungry children and care for sick Americans. Democrats provided Republicans with several chances to stand with the many instead of the rich. They declined multiple times. I'll continue to pull out every stop as I seek to prevent these cuts from becoming a reality. Monday's committee vote came after the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities analysis found that the SNAP cuts proposed by the House GOP resolution would result in widespread harm, potentially taking benefits from more than 9 million low-income people in an average month. This will impact people you know, yourself. Nobody, everyone's going to get slapped in the mouth from this. And that's one of many things that I like about some of the handful, and I just do mean a short handful of representatives and politicians, not only in DC, but countrywide. And don't worry, the handful, it's like it's not a whole lot. It's very minimal, but a handful. They're actually saying, "Hey, we're on the road to danger. Hey, we're in some trouble. Hey, if this thing really comes through, we're all kind of screwed." Because this is what Representative Massie is saying: if the Republican budget passes, the deficit gets worse, not better, and we are in a severe amount of debt. Continuing on, let's go ahead and push forward. The Economic Policy Institute separately found that if the House GOP's proposal for $880 billion in Medicaid cuts over the next decade becomes reality, it would reduce incomes for the bottom 40% more than extending the Trump tax cuts would boost them, and the lowest income households would fare the worst. Strikingly, this is true even as the full $180 billion in Medicaid cuts would only pay for about 20% of the total cost of the tax cuts and jobs. Other cuts and economic damage falling on non-rich families stemming from tax cuts for the rich would still be forthcoming. EPI's Josh Bevins wrote last week, meanwhile, that the TCJA boosts the incomes of the top 1% significantly, while these households do not rely in any way on Medicaid. Democrats are expected to unanimously oppose the House Republican budget resolution, leaving Speaker Mike Johnson with extremely narrow margins to pass the measure and move ahead with President Trump's legislative agenda. Trump has endorsed the House resolution despite claiming to oppose cuts to Medicaid. Listen, Trump, listen, buddy. Listen, cutting Medicaid is not a bueno idea. House Republicans must also reconcile major differences with their Senate colleagues, who want to advance Trump's agenda in separate, smaller bills rather than one sprawling measure. Isn't that fantastic? And this is where the Democrats are going to start telling you, we got to resist Trump. We got to resist Trump. The bill House Republicans are bringing forward tomorrow is a gift to Trump's billionaire donors, paid for by hardworking Americans who are already feeling the heat from high prices in Donald Trump's America, carried on by the Biden-Harris administration. Isn't that something? In this bill, Republicans are saying the quiet part out loud. Billionaires, big companies, and special interests not only deserve a tax break, that they should be paid for by everyday Americans. That's nothing new. That's been going on under the Democrats as well. Far too many Americans, this bill will only increase their everyday costs from their health care to their groceries, Clark added. Put simply, the bill is a betrayal of the promise that every Republican made just months ago to lower costs. Representative Pramila Jayapal, Democrat from Washington, a senior whip for the House Democrat caucus, wrote in a social media post on Monday that she will not vote for a budget that gives tax breaks to billionaires and cuts critical programs for working families. Well, isn't that nice? But also, folks, if you know anyone in student debt, just a real quick thing, just talk about student debt here. If you have a chance, and no, this isn't being a dream killer, but in regards towards education here in this country, tell them not to go to college here in America. If they want to go to college, they need to go to overseas, okay? Where it's free or affordable. All right. That means saving up every penny to do that, but so be it. Or either that, go to a trade school, anything like that, an apprenticeship. Let us try and break the chains of the college industrial complex, because student debt isn't going away. Yes, it could go away under executive order. And yes, Biden could have done something, but he chose not to. So, if anything, break away from the college industrial complex. I was recently, again, at a wonderful event on the weekend, and I heard a very sad story from one college student who is struggling with student debt. And, it's denying her the chance to go into her career. And, I wish her all the best, but she's not alone. So student loan borrowers face an abrupt 180 as GOP budget plans threaten to raise payments. Break the college industrial complex, folks. Student loan borrowers could see their payments increase under budget plans currently under discussion by House Republicans, a violent about face after years of working with the Biden administration to lower payments and secure debt relief. Well, one would think that the Biden-Harris administration would do something, but they chose not to. Isn't that special? While the GOP proposals might change quickly, student loan forgiveness is now a thing of the past, and borrowers are now bracing as their loans become a potential reconciliation target. We really see this as an attack on students and working families with student loan debt. We've seen an array of really problematic proposals that are on the table for congressional Republicans. Many of these would cause massive spikes for families with monthly student loan payments. The House and Senate are working on competing massive legislative packages to fund the government and advance President Trump's agenda, with the lower chamber aiming on its budget reconciliation resolution as soon as Tuesday evening, to be more precise. With a slim majority, Speaker Mike Johnson can afford a few defections. House Republicans had more than a dozen proposals on the table in January, a memo said, about how to cut higher education costs, with some considered more likely to come to pass than others. One that is seen as probable is the death of the Biden era saving on valuable education income drive repayment plan, which the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled to block last week, along with ending the SAVE plan, which drops some borrowers' payments down to zero, which is good. Republicans want to streamline other IDR plans down to two options for loans that began after June 30th of last year. Lawmakers estimated that this would save $127.3 billion in 10 years. And yet we got money for war and money to bail out the banks. So in other words, if you know anyone that's struggling with student loan right now, a wave of pain is going to crash upon many Americans. And this budget plan by the GOP won't save anyone. We'll find out where it goes on Tuesday, of course. But then going forward, unfortunately, should it be signed, it's not going to fix the deficit. It's going to cause more damages. Now, I am ever hopeful that maybe clear heads will prevail and realize, hey, maybe we shouldn't cut Medicaid. Maybe we shouldn't cut programs to SNAP. because there are people, who are struggling. I know people who are struggling. I've had family members who have struggled. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And the only way we're going to get out of this is by working together. But to the handful of representatives and elected officials, no matter what level you stand at, that actually see the danger coming, it's a shame that the vast majority of our politicians are so corrupt or so blind that they're willing to just throw everything out. Just for what? The top 1%? Don't they have enough?